Now, typically, it's very unlikely you get a test without knowing you're being tested. Now, you should know you're being tested, okay? However, sometimes when you are not using your discernment and you are not functioning in the right side of the light, you won't know that you're being tested until you're halfway through the test or you're failing the test or whatever. Okay, but when you're in school and you're being tested, you know you're being tested because the teacher handed it out. They told you it's a test. They told you to keep your eyes on your own paper, so on and so such. God does the same thing. You get distracted, God try to pull you back. It's called redirection. That's what it's called when someone is trying to bring you back to the current situation at hand. It's called redirecting. So you're constantly being redirected, and yet you keep falling in the trap of the distractions, falling in the trap of saying, "Oh, I got time." How do you know that? And sometimes you know it's a time test. You know there's a certain point that you need to be at by a certain point, and you'll still keep shucking and jiving. That's my stepfather says. All right, and pussyfooting around, as my daughter's grandma used to say. Okay, and not believing fat meat is greasy, as my grandma used to say. Instead, you want to keep believing that you have time, and you don't. Because let me tell you something I used to have to tell my daughter all the time. I don't got time to keep going back to teach you the same lessons that I've been teaching you from before, okay? We have 18 years together, and I know that you think that that's a long time, but it is not, in the perspective that there are certain things that I need to teach you before you hit 18, right? Before, God forbid, something happens and you are without me, and then you are lost in the world with whomever doing whatever, because they may not believe that you need to know these lessons. But see, I value you, and I think you need to learn these lessons in a certain way. And we can't move forward if we have to keep going backward to learn lessons that you've already learned. It's will over skill. Same thing with God. It's no problem to fail a lesson. You'll just have to relearn it again. But guess what? You won't be able to get where you're trying to go because you can't go anywhere until you learn the lesson. You can't move forward. It's whatever you're currently learning is called a prerequisite to the lesson in which or to the end game. You know? There's things that you have to learn before you get to that other thing that you're trying to get to. So again, this whole you only live once and YOLO and la 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 la, that's some bullshit. They planted that in your head so you could be distracted and not have to worry about the fact that one day you'll wake up and be 50 with nothing to show for your life.